Pick up your phone right now. Look at what you just did. You reached for it before you even finished reading that sentence, or you felt the pull to. Some of you checked it in the last 4 minutes without knowing why. Not because a message arrived. Not because you were expecting anything in particular. Because something in your brain issued an instruction so fast and so quietly that your hand was already moving before your conscious mind had any input at all. Most people assume this is a habit, something they should cut back on, address eventually, talk about with a therapist when they get around to it. But you must grasp this before dismissing it too quickly. What you are experiencing when you reach for your phone is not a habit in any meaningful clinical sense. It is not weakness, it is not distraction, and it is not something that technology companies invented from scratch and implanted in you. What you are experiencing is one of the oldest and most precisely calibrated biological systems in the human brain, operating exactly as it was designed to operate, inside an environment it was never designed for. Today we are going to talk about what phone checking actually is, at the level of neurochemistry, evolutionary biology, and behavioral reinforcement science. And the answer is strange enough and specific enough that most people who hear it change the way they understand their own behavior entirely. Let us start with the fact that reframes everything else. The urge to check your phone is not generated by your phone. Read that again. The urge exists in a neural system that predates smartphones by roughly 2 million years, and it was doing its job long before there was anything to check. That system has a name. Neuroscientists call it the seeking system, and it was first described in detail by the neuroscientist Jaak Panksepp, whose decades of research into effective neuroscience identified seeking as one of 7 primary emotional systems present in all mammalian brains. The seeking system is the circuit that drives exploration, anticipation, and the active pursuit of unknown rewards. It is dopaminergic, meaning it runs on dopamine, but not in the way that most popular explanations describe. Because the seeking system does not produce pleasure when you find something. It produces the compulsive, energized drive to look. The pleasure and the looking are entirely different circuits. This single distinction between the circuit that drives seeking and the circuit that processes reward is the key to understanding why you cannot stop checking even when checking never satisfies you. The seeking system does not care whether the reward is actually there. It cares that the reward might be there. Uncertainty is not a flaw in this system. Uncertainty is the fuel. Research published in the journal Neuron by Wolfram Schultz and colleagues demonstrated that dopamine neurons fire most intensely, not when a reward is delivered, but when a reward is possible and unpredictable. An unpredictable reward, one that may or may not arrive, produces a response significantly more powerful, one that escalates with each unrewarded check rather than diminishing with it. Your phone, by its fundamental design, delivers notifications on a variable interval schedule. Sometimes there is something new. Sometimes there is nothing at all. The ratio is never predictable. And that unpredictability, whether intentional or not, is the precise condition under which the seeking system runs hardest and longest. But you need to understand what that means biologically. The seeking system evolved to keep your ancestors alive in environments where survival depended on continuously scanning for new information. A change in the tree line, an unexpected sound, the smell of something unfamiliar on the wind. Every novel signal in the environment was potentially relevant, potentially dangerous, potentially food, potentially a threat that needed an immediate response. The brain that ignored novel signals died. The brain that turned toward them survived. What you inherited from those ancestors is a neural system specifically tuned to respond to the possibility of new information, one that generates a mild but persistent agitation in the absence of such information, and that provides a brief sense of forward momentum the moment that possibility is investigated. This is not addiction in any precise clinical sense. It is the normal operation of a healthy seeking system, encountering an environment with unlimited novel signals available on demand, at any hour, in any location, for free. Stop. Let that settle. Your brain is not malfunctioning. It is doing precisely what a brain shaped by 2 million years of selection pressure would do when given access to a device that simulates, with extraordinary accuracy, the exact conditions under which the seeking system is activated most powerfully. That is not a character flaw. But it is also not something you can simply reason your way out of, without understanding what is actually happening beneath the reasoning. There is a second layer to this that most popular explanations leave out entirely. The seeking system does not operate in isolation. It is regulated in part by a separate circuit involving serotonin, which is associated with the feeling of already having enough, of satiation, of stillness that does not feel like deprivation. When serotonin activity is high, the seeking system is suppressed. When it is low, the seeking system runs without adequate braking. Research from the University of Cambridge's Behavioral and Clinical Neuroscience Institute has found that these two systems are in continuous reciprocal modulation, each influencing the other's activity level based on environmental inputs including sleep quality, social connection, physical movement, and light exposure. The conditions of modern sedentary, indoor, socially fragmented daily life suppress serotonin activity in ways that were simply not present for most of human evolutionary history. The result is a seeking system with insufficient braking, operating in an environment with unlimited fuel. Your phone did not create this condition. It found it already waiting. And there is a third component, one that involves the deepest social wiring in the primate brain. And this is the one that most people feel in themselves most clearly once someone names it. Human beings evolved in small, stable groups where social information was survival information. Knowing you're standing in the group, knowing whether a relationship had shifted, knowing whether an important alliance had changed, was not a matter of mild social curiosity. It was a matter of life and death in a literal, immediate sense. The anterior cingulate cortex, the region of the brain that processes social pain and social threat, is activated by social exclusion in ways that are neurologically indistinguishable from physical pain. Research by Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA using functional MRI confirmed that being ignored, left out, or uncertain about your social standing activates the same neural circuitry as a physical wound of measurable severity. Your phone is, at its most fundamental level, a social monitoring device. Every time you check it, you are doing what your primate brain was built to do, which is scan the social environment for signals that tell you where you stand, whether you are seen, and whether something has changed that requires a response from you. Not metaphorically. The anxiety that builds when you have not checked your phone for an extended period is not meaningfully different, at the neurochemical level, from the anxiety your ancestors felt when separated from their group and uncertain about their status within it. The seeking system is running. The social monitoring system is running. The serotonin brake is insufficient, and the phone is right there, offering immediate temporary resolution to all three pressures simultaneously, at the cost of nothing except the next few seconds of your attention, and the reset of the cycle all over again. What changes when you understand this is not simply how you think about your own behavior. It changes which interventions actually make sense. If the problem were purely habitual, disrupting the loop would be sufficient. But if the seeking system is running without adequate serotonin regulation, the interventions that matter most are the ones that address serotonin activity directly: sustained physical movement, natural light exposure, predictable face-to-face social contact, and the meaningful completion of tasks with clear outcomes. Research from the University of Essex found that even 20 minutes of outdoor activity in natural settings produces measurable shifts in mood and attentional regulation, consistent with increases in serotonin activity. The seeking system does not calm down because you place the phone in a drawer. It calms down when the underlying conditions driving its excessive activation are addressed at their actual source. And if the social monitoring circuit is contributing, the interventions that provide genuine relief are the ones that deliver genuine resolution to the social uncertainty the circuit is detecting, not digital proxies for connection, but real ones. Not the possibility of a message, but an actual conversation. Not a notification confirming that someone responded, but a physical presence that the anterior cingulate cortex can register as genuinely resolved. Your brain is not broken. It is not weak. It is running a program written across millions of years of selection pressure, inside an environment that did not exist when that program was written. And the gap between what that program was built for and where it is currently running is the entire explanation for what you feel when you reach for your phone without knowing why. Have you noticed that pull in yourself? The reach that happens before any conscious decision? The check that produces nothing and still gets repeated minutes later? Share your thoughts down in the comments section. I review every response, and this community continuously brings up exactly the questions that push this further than I expect going in. And if you want to understand another ancient system running modern interference in your daily life, one that shapes far more of your choices than most people have ever been told, the next video is already waiting for you.